Hello Furkies, this is day 15 of me playing chess every day until I reach the rapid rating of 2500. So here we go. We are going to play 15 plus 10 rapid game because I like to think and have more chance to talk. And we're playing against an 1800, which is not the best, but still okay. We have the black pieces, Caro-Kann Defense on the board. And of course, time advantage here is of course very good, but it's not crucial to win your games, because you get 10 seconds increment on every single move. My opponent's thinking on the second move of the game, which is very weird of course. Just a second. Okay. My opponent's still thinking. This is incredible stuff. Caro-Kann is very popular defense to the pawn to e4. And the idea is to play d5, challenge white center, and you can check out my playlist on the Caro-Kann defense theory. And my opponent is disconnected, and if that's the case, then we'll play another game today. Of course, if my opponent disconnects right now, I will gain 5 rating points, which is not really fair, but I can do nothing right now. We will wait for 1 minute longer, and just so I don't sit quietly here, the theory goes d4, d5, and then white has few options. There is knight c3, e5, or pawn to f3 actually, or of course taking the pawn. And my opponent is back online finally. Maybe, yes, he will play knight to c3, d5, knight to f3 now, or d4, knight to f3. Slightly better if you ask me for white. Taking is bad because the knight is already on c3, pawn should be on c3 when you take the d5 pawn. My opponent still thinking. This is very bad for my opponent, of course. Now d4, as I mentioned. Actually d3 is a move as well. D3 is a move as well. I will just play knight d7 probably. No, this blunder pawn. Of course, d3 is not particularly good option because I can play e5 right away, taking some central space here. And my opponent still thinking, but it says that he has an excellent connection, which is weird. Maybe my opponent simply doesn't know what to do and he's taking his time. And he is only 1800, we're close to being 2050. So if I lose this game, I would lose 11 rating points, which is crucial. But of course, I will try to play my best chess, not losing this game. My opponent still thinking. This is very bad. I don't know what to tell you now, guys. I'm kinda speechless. d4, of course, being the natural move. Taking, it's okay. The computer says it's equal, but it is easier to play with the black pieces if the knight is already on c3. Because if you take, you want to play d4 and c3, bishop f4, bishop d3, and this knight will usually go to d2, supporting the knight on f3 and not being on c3. Frequently it goes to d2, maybe to a3 and to c2 in some positions, although this is in advanced variation more popular maneuver, knight to a3. So my opponent thinking. I hope he is not disconnected because we'll wait like 11 minutes. Yes, so d4, as I mentioned. Maybe pawn to f3. Maybe pawn to f3. And after I take. Okay, he finally plays the move. Knight to f3. Going for 2 knights attack. Now bishop g4 is the most active move in the position. Takes, and d4 is. But taking this pawn is bad actually. Taking this pawn is a mistake. Now I get the better version of the exchange Caro-Kann, because as I mentioned, this knight is already on c3, which is not very good for my opponent. Now c3 and d4 can be played easily. So d4, yes, but now I can play knight to c6 actually. Knight c6, this was very useful check. But knight to c6 is very natural move I want to play anyway. Maybe h3, bishop h5, g4 here, and knight to e5 is an option in this position, but then simply rook to c8, and if my opponent were to take my bishop, my position would still be pretty much amazing. So, my opponent thinking after playing bishop to b5 check. Maybe castling is okay, but then I will simply develop e6. Yeah, okay, d4 played. d4 played on the board. What should we do now? e6 looks like a very good move. Pawn to e6, connecting these 3 pawns on the light squares. Now castling or bishop to f4 looks very natural. Bishop g5, of course, a very common blunder. After bishop f3, bishop d8 and bishop d1, I will simply end up with a piece up. So bishop g5 cannot be played. My opponent thinking castling probably is the best move here, although there are other possibilities as well. Bishop f4 being one of them. Bishop e3 is too passive, putting this bishop behind this pawn doing absolutely nothing. So queen d3. Okay, this is very kinda logical move, trying to play knight to e5, which would be devastating, although yes, it would be devastating. So probably bishop f5 now is the correct option, because my opponent is simply threatening knight to e5, forking my knight and my bishop being on f4. So of course we need to prevent this fork from my opponent, although my name is Fork Chess. Now you have to subscribe, thank you guys. So probably bishop to f5, putting this bishop on this diagonal with tempo should be quite good. Bishop f5, there is queen e3, but this bishop is very useful on this long diagonal. And in the exchange, Caro-Kann, this bishop frequently goes to this diagonal. Why? Because on g4 it's not doing that much. This knight will simply be there. I don't want really to take this knight, although maybe when knight is on c3 taking is better, taking back with the queen, but I mean, of course if queen e3 I can calculate bishop takes c2, but then my opponent gets quick development, but I will calculate if queen e3, but probably queen to e2 will be his preferred option here. Maybe queen d2 blocking the bishop. No, queen e2 played. Okay, now probably just bishop d6. Maybe bishop e7 is slightly better, or just developing the knight firstly, and we'll see where the bishop will go. I think this is nice. Knight to f6, developing this knight to the most active square in the position. Of course, knight to e7 was a move as well, but firstly bishop d6 would be my preferred move order, and then maybe bishop g6 and knight to f5 is an idea in this position. And of course, black is trying to develop, black is trying to castle. We'll put this rook on the semi-open c-file, pressuring c2. As you can see, this bishop is pressuring c2 as well. And knight to e5 was played. Knight to e5 is threatening the fork here with the bishop, so we need to prevent that. How we will do that? Well, there is rook to c8, most definitely, very good choice. I don't like queen to c7 because there is bishop to f4 actually, kinda x-raying my queen, although bishop d6 and the position would be still slightly better for me, but rook to c8, this rook will ultimately go to c8, so why not just defend the knight with one move, developing the rook and defending the knight at the same time. Very good move, if you ask me, and the computer of course. So knight takes c6 is not really an option because I get the open b file, excuse me. Then I will play c5, developing my bishop to this good diagonal. I will castle, queen b6, attacking the bishop, attacking the pawn. And the position would be overwhelming for my opponent here. Bishop takes is another option, but then I will quickly develop towards this knight. Maybe playing c5, dislodging the knight, and this would be very good for me. My opponent still thinking down to 9 minutes. And of course, g4 on the board, very aggressive. Okay, now we need to calculate. we really do need to calculate. Definitely bishop g6 is worth to take a look. h4, and after h4 I can play here. No, I can't because my bishop gets trapped. So I need to calculate now. Of course, probably bishop e4 doesn't work because of f3 here, and then h4. Knight d7, h5, f6, takes. I don't like this. Takes. I mean, what can I do actually? Bishop g6, h4. If h6 takes, I'm losing the pawn, because after takes there is takes. So what to do here? Let me calculate for a second. I'm not so sure this move is very good actually. I missed it. Bishop g6, h4. h5 maybe. Takes. This is bad, I lose this pawn as well. So, what can we possibly play here? Takes. No. I mean, probably bishop g6 is the only move in the position, but I don't want to lose this game because h4 simply looks devastating for me. h5? Maybe here, and knight to d7? Oh, that's the move! No, it's not. Because takes? Oh, yes it is. If takes, I take, but then there is bishop a6. Ah, it's so annoying. Rook here, h5 here. Oh, but this is the only move for the bishop. I guess this is it. Bishop g6, h4 and knight to d7, threatening f6 in some positions. Yes, let's go. Finally, I found the move for... Now h4, knight d7. I will blitz out this move. I calculated this line for 3 minutes, so I need to play fast. Now my opponent will need to make a move. In just a second, you guys, I will come right back. I'm right back. My allergy is simply killing me. So, h5 is an option, but I simply take the knight, and if takes, I take back with. Oh no, actually, h5 takes. He can simply take back and my bishop is trapped? Wait, what? Yes, exactly. What just happened? If I take, he can take. What? I missed. How can I play so badly? I can take here because there is check, winning everything. Oh, although maybe not. Maybe I can play this. But does it actually help me? Takes. If here, then I'm probably lost. Because if takes, then there are discover checks, winning everything in my position. Although it needs to be calculated. I cannot lose too much material actually. So takes, I take back. That's the idea. If takes, I take. Takes, I take, he takes. I take. The material should be level. Bishop. I am up a pawn in that position. Up 2 pawns. So takes. If takes, I can take. Then I mean, I don't want to calculate, but this is probably the only move. Knight takes d4. If simply here, I'm probably lost. No, there can be played here. Oh, I have this check. This is very, very important. Okay, so takes. He has to take. I go here. Takes. If he takes, that's probably my only option in this position. Let's just go for it. I maybe will lose 11 rating points because I will lose this game, and then we will fall back to 2020 rating. And of course I'm threatening knight takes c2. This is very important. You cannot take because I take. Oh, I didn't calculate this move. But unfortunately it doesn't work for my opponent. Let's go. Whew. Another bad calculation skill by me. But maybe knight takes d4 actually works. Maybe. Just maybe. Maybe. Because queen e3 doesn't work, which is super important. There is no queen d2 because of this. Or I can just take here and then take here. Maybe queen f1? But why would you do that actually? Because then I can simply take and play takes, I guess. So probably bishop takes d7 is. He takes. Oh wow. He takes. I guess I have to take now. What is my opponent's idea? Check here. Check, takes. Here. Well, maybe I'm just down a piece actually. But now I'm not down a piece. I have knight f6. There is here definitely. But I mean, even this doesn't look too bad for me. I mean, g takes on f7 was definitely a mistake. Just taking here. Just take before. I mean, now my opponent has some difficulties too, because now the knight is hanging. That's for a fact. And if knight takes, I can simply take here. Takes, maybe going here. Attacking the bishop, attacking the knight when the bishop moves. And this is bad for my opponent. But I'm very certain my opponent was completely winning. Bishop takes d7. If I take, I'm down a piece, so that's definitely not good. I could take, and after takes, I can take. He cannot take because I go here. Oh, but there is one more trick I need to figure out. Taking the bishop is correct. Taking the bishop is correct because he's threatening now bishop g5, winning the queen. So simply takes. If takes, I take. And my position should be better. I believe my position should be better. But this is very hard to calculate. If here I can probably sack the rook and go here. Probably. I probably will do. If rook takes, I will sack the rook and go queen c7, attacking the knight, attacking the bishop, attacking the pawn with check. And what would be the count there? I would still be an exchange. Ah, but he takes like this. Takes. If takes here, I probably... I mean, is there any other option? Just take. Here. I need to develop my pieces. This pawn is very dangerous here, so queen c7. Next move, most likely. I don't know what my opponent is thinking about. Just grab the bishop. The knight, excuse. Oh, but there is knight to g6 in some positions. And now I'm probably losing. Knight g6 takes. No, he does not. He doesn't go for it. But now knight g6 is a real threat, so I need to find a way to defend against this threat, which can be quite impossible. I mean, what can I do? Knight g6 threatening. Actually, maybe this is not so bad. Maybe this is not so bad. Maybe I want to allow this trick. And then bishop b4. Pinning and winning, as they say. Maybe. But now I need to find a waiting move. What is it? Because knight g6, I will go here and takes and here, and the knight would be trapped. Maybe a6. Stopping knight to b5. Maybe this is a big blunder, but play knight g6, I win a pawn, you win my rook, but I win the knight. Play bishop b4, win everything, and we'll have queen versus two rooks, which should be better for me. Take here, here. That's what I calculate. That king g8, of course, not knight g8. And now I will pick up the knight. I will play bishop b5. And then d4 is a threat when bishop b4 pinning and winning. Queen here. I mean, my position should be better at this point. I got the pawn being on f7. This knight is absolutely trapped now. Rook h3 doesn't work. I always have h6, bishop e7, bishop g5, some positions. My position now should be better. Should be better. Knight g6 takes. Now probably castles. Probably. Okay, this is a big blunder. Because I can sacrifice the bishop. Bishop takes a3. I bet this knight takes d5. Knight takes d5, threatening fork on e7. I can take, check, pick up the a3 pawn. Yes, bishop takes a3. If takes, the knight is hanging. Now my opponent can play knight d5, threatening fork. This is what I calculated. But then I can simply take. If takes, I can go here with fork on the king and on the rook, and my position should be better. Definitely, I'm up a pawn. I am threatening the rook. I will be 2 pawns up actually, and I have more time on the clock. And I think I'm overall a better endgame player than my opponent, who is only 1800 in rapid. So this game will definitely be long. This game definitely won't end in 40 moves, but it will end in 60 moves, I believe, or more. So now knight takes d5 really needs to be played. If here I have this fork, so this doesn't work, attacking my bishop. There is no knight b5, which is kinda crucial, attacking the bishop, but the pawn would be hanging anyway, which checks in some positions. So definitely bishop takes a3 is a very good move, and my opponent blundered with the move pawn to a3. Maybe king to d2 can be played, but then bishop to b... Now, my threat is to play bishop to b4 back. if like rook b1. Of course, rook b1, I can still sacrifice the bishop, winning the rook like this with this fork. So this is fork. I'm fork chess. Now you need to smash that subscribe button below. Thank you guys. Now I will take, I believe. Takes. Here. Oh, this pawn is hanging as well. Okay. This pawn is loose. And then here. But do I play takes or do I play check and takes? It looks like this pawn will fall off the board anyway. So why not just pick up this pawn? Like, both moves are okay, so spending too much time on this move is not particularly good. If two moves have roughly the same like level of evaluation, why would you spend 5 minutes in a rapid game calculating which move is slightly better by the computer? It's not important at all. And now you can blunder this position easily. Like here, and there is check. This is the only move. Maybe I have check here, check here. I mean, queen. Now the two of the rooks are better than the queen if they are connected, if they are goodly placed on good squares. They are coordinated well, then the rooks can be better. But my queen and my extra two pawns on the g file can ultimately decide the game. And yes, I have some checks down the diagonals, down the files. I mean, this can be a very, very nice win for me if I manage to outplay my opponent in this endgame. King f7, definitely defending all the pawns. b5, b4, creating an outside passed pawn. Why not? Bringing my king closer to the queen side in some positions. If I win the a pawn, probably the game is over. I think this move is a mistake. Allows me to put my queen on d3 in some positions. So, how to play this? There is definitely here or here. But let's start with check, forcing king here. Here can be played. And then here. Pushing maybe. Yes, but I mean, maybe I helped my opponent to develop actually. Here, here, and then here, and here. I like my position. The pawn on c2 was perfectly fine. Why move the pawns when your rooks are very badly placed here? Why are you thinking king e2 is the only move? If you play king e1 defending, you lose one rook, then you lose the second rook. Now check and queen to b3, attacking the pawn. Maybe here, yes. But then, oh, there is this check. There is this check. Nice. If here, I mean, this looks very bad. Maybe even takes and here. Maybe. My opponent down to 2 minutes on the clock, which can be deadly for my opponent. Yes. Now I go check. If rook here, I go here. If here, I go here anyway. Playing queen c5, b5, a5, a4. Why not? Queen c4 checks. Check. Why not? Queen a3. Very good move. Rook c2 definitely a move, but then I pick up the pawn. Rooks are badly placed once again. Takes. I go b5. Here. I go here. Maybe. This king is very weak as well, so. I'm up 3 pawns now, which can be enough to secure me a win. Can be enough, but maybe it won't be. But I will spend a lot of time in the near future. This move looks like a mistake. You are never threatening rook e8. Or maybe in some positions, but I'm not sure. Now just queen c5. Attacking everything. Not preventing rook e7. Threatening the pawn. Threatening to place queen c4 and to just push the pawns all the way to the winning square. Securing me a win. My opponent still thinking. Maybe, I'm not sure, but maybe f4. f4 looks very bad, but no, f4 loses a pawn. f4 here, 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 here. So yes, this would lose a pawn. Maybe f3 can be tried actually. f3. But still, I will start pushing my queen side pawns. And my opponent is disconnected as well. Wait, but now he's very low on time, but his position is lost with perfect play. So maybe he just left, thinking this is just lost. Maybe he will come back. 20 seconds left for my opponent. 19. 15 seconds left. And we'll analyze the game afterwards, of course. 10 seconds left. So my opponent still 5, 4, 3. He's back. But he lost on time. So we won the game. And yes, the position is lost for my opponent. Rook e8 the best move, but still -2 winning for me. So my opponent played pawn to e4. I responded with pawn to c6, the Caro-Kann defense, knight c3, d5, and here is where you can choose what you play. You can take the pawn, but taking the pawn is very bad, because if d4, this knight is simply misplaced and black is at least equal. So after d5, you can play d4 as well. This is now the mainline theory. After takes, there are 3 options. For example, like this very aggressive move. This is just the most common theory, and this is what you get after the mainline Caro-Kann. You can see you have this pawn structure. You play knight f6, bishop e7, queen c7, and you castle short or long in some positions. So white will play bishop d2, will castle long. Okay, but after d5, my opponent simply decided to play the 2 knights. After knight f3, I played bishop g4. And now the best move and the only good move in the position is to play h3. And after h3, bishop takes f3, queen takes f3, and e6 is the start of the theory. And now white can pick line, either d3, d4, bishop e2, or g3, followed by bishop g2. But okay, after bishop g4, my opponent simply took the pawn. I took back, and bishop b5 check. Now knight c6. Of course, this knight should go to c6, not to d7, because he controls more squares on c6. I don't know how to pronounce this square. So after d4, e6, simply developing. Now queen d3 with an idea of knight to e5. So yes, bishop f5 was a very good move. Maybe knight to e7, yes, supporting the knight. And maybe, but where will you put this bishop? g6 and bishop g7 doesn't look really good, because this knight, this bishop on g4 will get trapped. Okay, so after bishop f5, my preferred option, queen e2 was played, the only good move, knight f6, and now knight to e5 is much better for my opponent, and a6, the best move, but I played rook to c8, almost losing position on the spot because of pawn to g4. And here is where things get complex. I played bishop g6, h4 was played, the only good move in the position, and now knight to d7, losing the game on the spot. Why? Because he can simply take the knight. What? Taking the knight, and h5. Wait, this loses, what? I thought I have knight c4, but there is check. So bad. So my opponent missed this as well, but he played h5 instead of taking the knight. And now I played knight takes d4, which is a very interesting move. And now bishop takes d7 check is preferred option. And here, and I play here, and you simply take. And if I take, there is this winning a piece on the spot for 2 pawns, which is still maybe playable, but I had worse position. But he took the pawn. I played knight takes e2, and now bishop takes d7 is the only move, but my opponent played g takes on f7, losing the game on the spot because of king to e7. And now after the move bishop takes d7, I played knight takes c1, the only winning move in the position. Why? Because if I play anything else like knight takes c3, then there is bishop g5, winning my queen on the spot and winning the game, logically. So, after knight takes c1, my opponent played bishop takes c8, very logical move, and now I simply took the bishop back, which is fine. And after rook takes c1, I played a6, very nice move. My idea is that my opponent will play knight to g6, which is not very good, as you can see, but my opponent was tempted to win the exchange. That's very normal, material is important, but look now, the knight is trapped. This knight will get harassed down this diagonal. So knight g6 I took back, and a3, losing the game on the spot. I mean, the game was lost, but after bishop takes a3, this is simply much worse. I pick up all the pawns, and this endgame is simply lost for multiple reasons. Why? I pick up the a pawn, and after here, look, this endgame is simply lost. I will start to push my pawns. This king is very, very weak. Why? I will play queen c4, then d4, the pawn would be pinned, and I would create the 2 connected outside passed pawns, winning me the game. So my opponent simply left the game. So ladies and gentlemen, this was the day 15 game of my journey to achieving the rapid rating on chess.com, the rapid rating of 2500, of course. So if you liked the video, please consider subscribing, it would really help me out, and see you guys tomorrow. Bye bye!